We've got more breaking news. Booths are closed in Queensland. More than 3 million voters having their say on whether to insert this Indigenous voice to Parliament in the Constitution. The polls have consistently pointed to Queensland voting no. This hour we'll get the first results from the Sunshine State. Let's check in with our election analyst, Tom Connell, for the latest numbers. Tom?
Kieran, to see you've read so far, it's looking extremely bleak at the moment for the Yes campaign. And you can see the problem is we're not just talking about a few outer and regional booths here. 17% counted in New South Wales, 21% in Tasmania. That's where I'm going to start, in fact. So Tasmania, I told you not long ago that this was looking really dire. It was hard to see this turning around. The best result so far is Franklin. The margin that Julie Collins was on is 13.7%. Now, the Yes campaign were willing or ready for her to sort of lose 5 or 6% off that, and they still thought that they could win the state. But it's well below that, and that includes on the booths that are in so far. The Yes side is looking like it's going to lose about 10% compared to her vote, so they're tracking behind there. So that's the first bit of bad news. Bass as well is looking terrible right now, 58.98% for the no side, and again, tracking a little bit ahead of where they were expecting to. That is the no camp. And then you go as well to the seat of Braddon. Now, Braddon, as you can see, 71.64%. So this was not an area that was going to be good for the Yes case, but they were thinking they could get something perhaps in the 40s. So this is the problem right now, well behind in Tasmania. And even though we are seeing some better results as you'd expect in the seat of Clark, this is the seat held by Andrew Wilkie. You can see he's clearly ahead. This vote, his vote, and however much that helps Yes, and the Yes vote there is not going to make it up at the moment for Tasmania. So in Tasmania right now, this is going to, I'll just make sure I hit the right button here. We've got a new setup. Tasmania, from this result, from the numbers we've seen so far, the situation is not going to change. It's not going to improve enough. And we're saying Tasmania will vote. I've made a terrible error there, haven't I? Tasmania will vote no in this referendum. Tasmania will vote no. Those votes in Clark will not be enough to make it back up. So Tasmania is a lock now at red. We move through to the rest of the states. Let's look at New South Wales and where that's tracking right now, through a couple of seats in particular. And one of them is Barton. This seat is held, of course, by Linda Burney. You can see here, she holds a margin of 15.5%. Now, the no side at the moment is actually leading this count. The expectation from no and yes was that the Yes camp would get about 60% if they were to win the state, if they were to win. They're on 46. Now, some of that has been the booths, but right now they should be on something like 55 plus. So you can see how badly this is tracking in the Indigenous minister's seat right now. So that's the seat of Barton at the moment. The other one we'll look at in a different part is Lindsay as well. So you're talking Western Sydney now and out on the fringes, and the concern was always how this referendum might go, in particular out in the suburbs. You can see in Lindsay right now, this is a smashing. 6% was the margin for the Liberal Party, 67% is no. And again, it's how that's tracking in the booths so far and compared to how the two sides thought this would go. And we're talking about the no side sort of 10 percentage points ahead of where they thought they would be. So both sides thought this was going to be no voting, but it's the extent of that right now that is the worry. So New South Wales is looking really bleak, to be frank. Just want to see a few more numbers around where we know there'll be a big yes vote, Kieran. Some of those inner city ones and inner suburban ones and northern seats as well, northern suburb seats, but looking pretty bleak there as well. And even the early numbers in South Australia, not looking good either.